Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. Today I want to test out an add-on that comes with Blender. It's called the A.N.T landscape add-on. This add-on comes with documentations, but it's really short and it's better that you just jump into it. So the add-on basically allows you to create landscape and displacement on a mesh. Okay, so if you just started with this, the add-on actually lives here near the IV generator. So it's just, if you have IV generator, it's going to be underneath, and you have this landscape, just a single button. So you can start there. It will create a landscape for you right away, and you can see more options like landscape tools, main, noise, displays. Okay, the cool thing, these options might be hidden. If you uncollapsed it, you're gonna see a lot of attributes and parameters, and also you have presets. This is a good start, the preset, so you can quickly take a look at what this thing can create very quickly. There's quite a lot. My favorite is the canyon. It looks exactly like a real canyon. It's basically generating all kind of landscape using the noise that Blender has. This one looks like a dune, desert, gully. So there's a lot, and right away you can create like really nice looking landscape, just like from real planet Earth or another planet. So let's pick one. My favorite is canyon, but you can feel free to try each one of them that you like. And this landscape doesn't have material by default. You can give it a material, and subdivisions depending on the presets. We get 200 by 200. That's a good size. Noise setting, of course, we can make changes, but based on this preset, we can just randomize the seed. And there's all kind of settings here that you can play around with. Once you get out of it, these options disappear. However, you can still kind of edit your mesh from here. There's this mesh displays, weight from slope, landscape eroder, but the three main tools that's still available for you to regenerate is from here: landscape main, landscape noise, and landscape displays. You can still adjust the height of your landscape, for example, and you can set the maximum and minimum of the noise. You can also play around with this sharp quantizations and then refresh if you want to do this. I like it smooth. So that's with the landscape displays. Noise, you can also refresh the noise, I believe, changing the seed from here. But every time you make changes, you need to refresh from here. And if you like this landscape, you can save it. Let's quickly save this. And you can actually click outside. Don't select anything. Just create another landscape. This time we're gonna choose random planet. Oops, actually, let's try with gully. And we can create another landscape. So each one you every time you make like a new landscape, this one's gonna be a different object. You can see this add-on actually understand your different landscape, and then you can make changes and then refresh. So this object is kind of still alive. Okay, I quite like this guy over here. Maybe I can even make this higher resolutions, regenerate. You see, I can even push it. Okay, cool. On top of these three different tools, main, noise, displays, there's also this guy over here, landscape tools. This one actually appears whenever you are selecting an object. Okay, so you can have like your own grid For example, if I make grid 200 by 200 subdivisions, whenever I select this, I can actually just displace it. So we have ability to displace this based on the noise that we provided. So this is like a once off displacement thing. Let's say we are happy with this. If we get out, so this guy is slightly different from this object. These three are using the landscape creation tool. This one is just our own object, so it's not so cool, but we can still use the things like mesh displace and weight from slope, I believe. Yeah, so we can get this kind of thing, like a slope selections that we can use with other things. So we generated this new vertex group called slope, and we can actually use that with other thing. If you want, like if you want to render this out, you can do that using I'm using Vertex nodes actually. So if I'm using object in, so get object data from this landscape, get selections, I can get the vertex group, and the vertex group, I just gonna get the slope actually, and then weight, output it as a vertex color. So I want to pipe these objects and then just colorize this with using the weight. Sounds a little bit strange, but this is pretty cool. You will see in a bit. We can use vertex color now. So the weight gonna pipe into this guy, and then we can render this out based on the color. Yeah, I think this is the color from the slope actually. So we can use color ramp. And get the slope colorations. Okay, right. So how about this, guys? If we use the landscape eroder, look at here, vertex group, there's nothing here, right? But if you use landscape eroder, it's gonna calculate and then create all this weight that you can use also to do like rendering. This is mainly for eroding the landscape actually, so you can have like a couple of iterations, so the landscape will go down, kind of like almost like being eroded by water or rain or thermal, those sort of thing. So again, if you use landscape eroder, it's gonna create all this weight. Suddenly you have all this value that you can use. Especially the rain map is very cool, where we get this kind of rainbow color. So in that case, let's try. So we can have like a fancy attributes, like fancy shader I'm using another shader from Blender Zen Shader. So we can create this shader, so we can take a look at the landscape a little bit better, a little bit nicer, and we can use cycles and have a bit of sunlight. Okay, so now our landscape is looking a bit nicer because of this stylized shader. So I really like the stylized shader. You can add a lot of really nice details that's kind of hidden unless you use things like ambient occlusion or curvature or cavity even. Yeah, you can really get the contrast of the landscape, so that's kind of nice. On top of that, if we use that Vertex nodes thing that we just created, let's say we create a vertex color, or we just call it color, and then if we get our objects here, our landscape, I believe we can have Vertex Shader based on rain map. So let's get selection, refresh. Yeah, so we have SV color now. This we can get rid of the sphere chalk nodes. So sphere chalk nodes is just used once just to get the color from the weight into the shadow color. Okay, cool. Now we can use color ramp. Very interesting. We have two kind of color ramp. Just pipe in this. Now we can use two different color of ramp as gradient and use it for our landscape. All right, it's getting somewhere. So let's hide the rest of this. I just want to see this guy. Remember, I'm using Blender 2.92. This is the most stable for this A.N.T landscape, I think. And let's take a look. Play around with this Zen Stylized Shader. I think it's looking really nice. The rendering is actually a lot faster with Blender 2.93 and 3.0 actually, if you want to have this faster. And usually if you really want to have like high details rendering, you want to add extra shaders on top of this. Make a landscape a bit shiny. So you could actually use the Vertex Color for the shininess or something. So some area a little bit rougher than the rest. There's of course this control for global hue. This is from Stylized Shader, so you can have really fancy looking colorful landscape. And if you're happy with this landscape is gonna be pretty high density. If you're happy with it, it's okay. But if you want to make it less heavy, you can. And remember, you can always bake it using the BBB Bystats Blender Baker. Here, yeah, this is pretty cool add-on. And if we use like a remesher or just remesh modifier here, quadruple flow, and make like 8000. So we are remeshing this. It's actually kind of slower with this version of Blender 2.92. It's better to do this with Blender 3.0, I guess. Anyhow, this is the low res landscape, and this is the high res landscape. Let's see if I can do this as fast as I can. So I'm selecting the low. I'm gonna save this as inside a folder called landscape. Create a path, accept. Okay, resolutions 1040. Selecting the low, create bake collections, add bake path, base color. Okay, let's also create normal if you want to, and then create a slot for our height object, and hopefully when we bake it does not fail. Interesting, it's actually doesn't like our shader, it seems, so it's failing. In that case, we probably cannot bake unless we can bake it a different way. So I'm using Blender 3.0 now. So we have low and high res. I guess we need to bake it a different way using cycles, CPU, and our own baker here. Okay, let's create a texture. This is high and low. So for the low, we're gonna create a new material, principles, and then we're gonna create a new image texture, and we're gonna use our own texture. With this node selected, shift select the high, cycles bake from selected to active, and sometimes we need to put a value here. Just bake the color, for example, diffuse. It says no active UV layer found in the low. Okay, we need to go to the top view and do a UV map, or just smart UV. Project from view. Okay, so we should have UV now. Bake. Hopefully this works. Texture baking. Oh, it's actually taking a while, quite a while. Interesting. Yeah, it's actually working. The reason it's slow because of the cycles rendering. Maybe I just put it like 10 samples, or actually just 1. And let's try baking this again. Much faster. It doesn't even use the denoising. So, okay, this is low res anyway, but it's okay. Landscape bake. This is the diffuse actually. And let's bake again manually using this baker. Now we bake the normal image, save as the normal. So just the diffuse and the normal, it's okay. Select the low, file, export, GLB, include only selected object. So let's see now if this is working with our reality converter. GLB, material, landscape diffuse, landscape normal. So we have our landscape object. Does this look the same as our object? All right, slightly different in terms of colorations there. Maybe there's a glitch or something that I missed. But basically that's the whole process. Okay, so I wonder why I get that weirdness. Select the low, select the high. Combine, bake. Let's try diffuse, bake. Okay, I know maybe we need to turn on the direct and indirect. No, still Doesn't like it. I'm reducing the number of, reducing this value. Yeah. No, still we get that weirdness. Anyhow, I might take a look at that, but for now, yeah, the stylized sim doesn't work 100% when we are doing the bake. Maybe we have other object, that's why. That's why. We only need the low and the high. Save. Okay, yeah, see? We have some overlapping object that's hidden. So, something we need to be aware of. Sometimes that happens. Okay, now we have our landscape. Stylized landscape. It is slow samples, but it's still pretty cool. Yeah. Alright, so we created our landscape that's become an AR, something that you can export into your iPad or iPhone. Yeah, but again, the add-on is really cool. I really love the add-on. With just a few clicks, you can get a really nice landscape. So that's really what this thing is all about. Landscape, select preset, and we have nice high-res landscape over there. And if you can always regenerate, randomize the seed, refresh. I give you another trick. You can put a frame number there. So if you change the frame and if you put this into a quick favorite, you can queue and refresh. So you can change into different frame and get a new landscape. Okay, so yeah, that's the trick. That's the trick. Okay, hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.